Understand that, like, from a lot of people's perspective, you and Sargon and many others, you started off as like reluctantly okay with Trump because you really hate Hillary, but like flash forward a few years and it just seems like Trump is like the
Did maybe Trump do something different? Did maybe something change in the past few years that I've specifically talked about? Do maybe people like you, instead of watching the content
Good point.
or trying to understand what's going on, just say, how come 2 years ago he said Trump is bad and now he's saying Trump is good?
No,
could it be, I don't know, maybe Trump fired 59 Tomahawk missiles into Syria and I said, wow, this guy's a moron. He hired John Bolton. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And then in the last few months of his administration, he had the Abraham Accords bringing about 4 historic peace agreements, notably with Israel. And I was like, wow, that's really good. And then he was instructing the Pentagon to remove our troops from Afghanistan, and they obstructed him. And then one federal official lied to the American people about the amount of people in Syria to stop Trump from pulling them out. Could it be that I said we have Joe Biden, who is the VP overseeing Iraq, a warmonger monster who exploited his position in government to make millions of dollars, and Trump, the boisterous, lewd, and lascivious, let's just call him chaotic individual, who I've been very critical for a lot of reasons. He's increased drone strikes. That was bad. He obfuscated the drone reporting. He Tomahawk missiles in Syria, missile strikes in Iran, potential escalation there. But then all of a sudden, I'm looking at school choice. I'm looking at the banning of critical race theory at the federal government level. I'm looking at what are the other things? The Abraham Accords, most notably, and a booming economy in 2019. And I said, for what I believe is right, the biggest issues that I think affect me: 1, war. Trying to get out of Afghanistan is worthy of my compliments. The Abraham Accords are historic. The actions he took with North Korea, while not particularly effective in the long run, were still an amazing. You know that Donald Trump crossed the demilitarized zone into North Korea with no security. That was bold and powerful, especially for me and what I know about my family. I saw that. I was like, dude could have just been killed on the spot. But he didn't worry about it. And that's the kind of effort you have to make even with bad people that even Obama tried making, and I will give him credit for that. And right now, I've praised Joe Biden for moving up the vaccine timeline. You see, the people who actually watch this show probably realize there's a nuanced opinion in these things, and there are probably some really good reasons to support Donald Trump over Joe Biden. But what ends up happening is the people I'm critical of, who don't pay attention and only hold opinions for the sake of making money, the real grifters, all of a sudden find themselves on the side of the woke cult-like leftists they opposed for years. Right around the time that YouTube changed its algorithm and started banning these people, all of a sudden they disappear and come back with an awakening. Now I'm different. Now I realized what was actually right the whole time. Or if they didn't go that overt, like writing a letter disavowing their own friends because they were scared about being called racists, they decided that, well, I'm going to simmer things down, reduce the amount of content I'm doing, and probably just stop talking about it. You want to engage in a fight because you claim to believe in things, but then abandon it the moment things get hot? You are a grifter. You never actually believed in these things. That's what I'm critical of. So perhaps whatever Sargon's opinions are, he actually had an evolution on certain issues. Maybe he realized, you know what, I was wrong about that 2 years ago. For me, I don't think I was wrong 2 years ago when I said Trump was wrong to fire Tomahawk missiles into Syria. And I don't think I'm wrong now to say Joe Biden was wrong to do the same thing. Both did not have congressional approval for that. But guess what? The mainstream media praise both when they do it. Granted, Joe Biden got a little bit of flack for this from some personalities because it seems like the establishment is weakening as the DSA types and more progressives start moving in. But Donald Trump all of a sudden was being called presidential because he was blowing up, he was bombing an airbase with missiles. There are many people who don't seem to have any reasonable reason for transitioning their opinions from where they used to stand to where they are now. And my opinions seem to be relatively static, save the Second Amendment. When the riots happened, when COVID happened, and when someone tried breaking my house, I went and bought guns, learned about them, and now my opinions very much changed in the Second Amendment. Other than that, it's almost entirely the same as it was years ago, even when I made a video while I still worked for Disney, criticizing black segregated college ceremonies. Or black segregated protest rooms during Black Lives Matter when I worked for Vice. All of those opinions are exactly the same as they've been, and perhaps I probably should evolve a bit more on some of those positions, but I haven't. Instead, we get a bunch of people who are scared. They're scared the machine is winning. They're scared the establishment is gaining ground. The Grammys is promoting Black Lives Matter and asking for accomplices. So instead of standing tall and say, I will not move, you move, they say, oh, that was a mistake. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to talk about politics. You guys see that new movie that just came out? Those are called cowards.
I think we got some super chats.
Yep. And if you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button and... we'll just read a couple more because I just did a big long rant, however long that was.